why we're working so hard now to be able to do a lot more later. I mean, this list is not all inclusive. Definitely, there's so many more reasons out there. The possibilities are endless. Hello to all my mothers watching today. Happy Mother's Day. We are the real MVPs. Motherhood is definitely the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my life. I'm especially feeling it this year in 2023. So today is our day. Put your feet up, go to Target, get your favorite food. I'm definitely going to be treating myself today with whatever I want because you got to celebrate yourself at least a couple of times a year. But I thought that I would take today to talk a little bit about, of course, our journey that we're on. It's really just talking about why we want a paid off house, or why I want a paid off house. Some of my reasons for wanting a paid off house. I know there's lifelong arguments about what's the better option, what's better to do, what's going to make you more money in the end. But the thing is, and like I've said before, I really am not so focused on what's going to make me the most money. I'm really focused on what's going to give me the least amount of risk as possible. These reasons I'm going to go over today, it's not most important to least important. It's really just multiple reasons. And I feel like I can't even limit it to the amount of reasons that I talk about in this video. It could be a ton of things, but these are the things that really come to mind first when I think about it. One of the important things to me with having a paid off house is lowering our expenses. Right now, if you guys have been watching our videos, you know we are shelling out $4,500 a month to our mortgage. That's a lot. It's also a large chunk of our income that we have coming in. With the $4,500 to the mortgage, and then anything additional like our actual expenses like bills and things like that, we're shelling out about $7,000 a month, and it's very close to the amount that we're bringing in. It's a lot, and so we feel the tightness. We're starting to feel it like more because I've been dwindling the amount of overtime I've been doing. It's been fluctuating. Without a mortgage, our expenses would be at about $2,100, and honestly, if something happened, we might be able to get that even lower than that. But my point is that we'd have a lot more money at our disposal. That's something that's super important to me, and something I'm so excited for the day that we pay off this house. If you're new here, right now we are just a few days away from month 32 of 60 with paying off this house. So that's a big part of it. It's just how much money that you would actually have to yourself with paying off our house. It would have a lot more money that's just kept to us that we don't have to pay to anybody else. So that's super important to me. Living a simpler life and just having no debt payments that we have to pay every month, that is so important to me. I am a very simplistic person, and I try to keep things as minimal as possible, not to mention how much money we'd be saving in interest. Or we're going to be saving in interest, that we've already began saving in interest a ton of money. So it's super important to me. Life itself is so unpredictable. You guys see it in the news, layoffs, and maybe just not even that. You just never know what can happen in life that could cause a loss of income, maybe getting injured, anything. And it changes your life completely. All of a sudden, your income is cut by 50%, or maybe even entirely if there's only one person in the house working. So super important for us to minimize risk. And if something were to happen, whether it's a rainy day or a rainy season, we would be just good in that aspect. I plan for us to save as much money as possible after paying off this house, just so we can have a cushion that we're sitting on. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to, not only paying off this house, but having that money just sit there and accumulate. I just would love to just know that if something were to happen, this cushion is there, we're comfortable, we're not stressed, we're not panicking, it's not an emergency. So that's something that I definitely plan to do as soon as this house is paid off. Another thing that I want to make sure we're doing after we pay off this house, and the reason why I can't wait to get there, is enjoying our money guilt-free. this is really something for me. A lot of times I feel guilty with spending money if it's something where we need to go over the budget, or I'm just having a really tough month and maybe we need to eat out 2 times or 3 times instead of 2. Like, it's the guilt just immediately. I feel guilty because I'm just like, that money could be going someplace else. And it's been like that for me for years, stemming from when we were paying off consumer debt, things like that. So it's hard for me to really just let go, and I can't wait. And I'm going to force myself, once the house is paid off, to make sure that I am not feeling guilt when it comes to stuff like that and spending our money as we want to. Not only traveling, but just doing things locally, like going to sports events. I want to go to a playoff game very soon, and honestly, part of me wants to see the NBA playoffs before we pay off this house. I don't know. It's a lot with the kids, like all of that. So I don't know, we'll see. But as they get older, hopefully it'll get easier. But with the money, I just know like that's going to be a gift to us. Like, we eventually need to do that. And hopefully our boys will let us have a good time, because that's just where we're at right now in this season of our life. It's just having kids that don't necessarily love to sit still. But I think that within the next year or 2, hopefully we can get it done. But when I was growing up, I remember specifically having times where I maybe like needed something. Maybe my clothes weren't fitting right, or maybe my jeans were high waters, things like that. I was really embarrassed by it. I got picked on a lot growing up, and it wasn't just really because of my clothing. It was for a lot of things, but the clothing aspect didn't help. But I just don't want to have my kids feel like embarrassed by what they have to wear, or clothes not fitting properly, being high waters. Like, my 5-year-old, he's already like up to my ribs at this point. I feel like he's super tall, and he's going to just keep getting so tall, and I know that he's going to be running through clothes like crazy once that age comes. So I definitely don't want him to, like, my kids to have to stress about their clothes not fitting right and things like that. I want us to always have that money there for something that they need, things like that. Like, I think that it's part of that in my brain, knowing how it impacted me growing up, and I don't want my kids to experience that, even though of course nobody's going to say anything to him about his clothes and things like that. I don't want even for a second his clothes not to fit him right. Anyway, my point is that I want to make sure that the money's always there for what they need. Even right now, as we're on this mortgage-free journey, they're not to be impacted by this in any way. If they need something, if they want something, we get it, no matter what. If they need something, or if they want something, like, they barely get stuff as it is, just because they're not really, going to the stores with us so much. We don't really like go out to stores like Target, things like that. So they don't see a whole lot of it in order for them to like ask for stuff. So if they do want something, if they do need something, even on this mortgage journey, they're getting what they need, they're getting what they want within reason. We are dealing with, even on a consumer debt-free journey, I feel like we made the decisions that we made to get into debt, so they shouldn't have to pay for that. Like, if they need stuff or if they want stuff, they shouldn't have to go without, in my opinion. If you're someone who is doing a different route, obviously it's ultimately your choice. It's ultimately something that you decide for yourself. But I'm just saying, for us in our household, I don't feel like they should have to pay for what we're choosing to do with our life, even though mortgage isn't really like a consumer debt, or it's not you paying for like mistakes or anything like that per se. We still ultimately want them to be able to get what they need and want within reason, because I don't feel like they should have to pay for us deciding to do something so big, like paying off a house. So anyway, I say all that to say, when the time comes and they have stuff that they need to get, sports, clothing, anything, things like that, I don't want us to have to go without, or feel like we need to go without because the money isn't there. I want that money to always be there, like no matter what for them. One thing I'm feeling right now that I just can't wait to pay off the house for this as well is just like working so much. Like, as you guys know, I'm doing overtime pretty much every week, and I just can't wait to not do overtime. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I'm just feeling like I want to just relax. Like, I want to clock out when my shift is over. I don't want to have to like come back and clock back in. Don't get me wrong, I am so thankful for the opportunity of overtime, being able to work extra to reach our goals even faster. I'm very thankful for that. I'm just saying, it's been years of overtime, like years and years, year after year, working extra, and you get tired sometimes. And I feel like I'm starting to get to this point in my life where I'm valuing time away from work and just wanting to clock out and do other things. I feel like when this house is paid off, I don't see myself doing overtime, working extra, things like that. I mean, hey, here and there, don't hold me to it, but overall, I'm not doing it on a consistent basis because we've worked years and years and years to get to where we're at and to get to that point. So I want to enjoy my time as much as possible. So a long-term goal that we definitely have, and another reason we can't wait to pay off this house, to even save for retirement even more than we already are, is we want to retire early. And I just feel like with the momentum that we have with everything that we're doing in our lives and getting closer and closer to each goal, like as young as we are and being really, really close to paying off our house is really a big achievement. A lot of times we might not realize that when we're in the depths of it and we're feeling like it's at our hardest, we may not feel like it's such a big deal or it's as big as it is. Paying off a house, that's a huge deal, like period. I know that there's some people out there who maybe they want to retire, but they can't because the house is still not paid off and they need that expense lowered by the time that they are fully done with working and bringing in income in that regard. So for people like that, where they really just can't retire because of expenses and things like that, or maybe they haven't saved for retirement as much as they would have liked to, I feel for anyone in that situation. And I know that while we're at this age that we're at now, we want to set ourselves up to, when that time comes, we're ready for it and we can retire when we want, and we can really travel even more than 4 times a year like we want to once this house is paid off, and just so many things that we want to accomplish. That's not something that we talk about too much as far as like wanting to retire early and like our long-term goals that are way further down the line, but ultimately that's one reason that I want this house paid off. I'm already starting to feel like I want to work less and I need more PTO right now with where I'm at. So I know that when that time comes, like I'm just going to be ready. That's a few things that is just kind of our why and why we're working so hard now to be able to do a lot more later. I mean, this list is not all inclusive. Definitely there's so many more reasons out there. The possibilities are endless. But definitely comment down below. Let me know what goals you're working on right now. What is a reason that you are working towards that goal? And if you are in a location where there is some nice weather today, like there is here, definitely step outside, take a walk. I just have to show this beautiful sky that we have right now. There's something about bright, beautiful sky that you just feel like everything's gonna be okay. Anyway, thank you for watching. Again, everyone enjoy your Mother's Day. And if you are new and you want to join this house payoff journey, which why not, subscribe right now and we will see you in our next video.